SharePoint Conference, the SharePoint 2012 here in Las Vegas with John Puopolo, who's the Chief Technology Officer with Axceler. And talking about, so one of the things that we announced this week was the ControlPoint for Yammer. There's been certainly a lot of content around social this week and a lot of the new social features in SharePoint 2013. But with our announcement, a lot of the conversations that we have going on, why don't you tell us a little bit about what kind of the idea was and what we're focusing on around what's announced and what your thoughts are about that space.
Okay. The idea about what was announced is that what we're seeing in the enterprise is a proliferation of different collaboration platforms, specifically to start with SharePoint and Yammer. And what we see a need for is insight into what's happening both in the document and sharing and collaboration around documents in SharePoint, and also now with the Yammer acquisition, what's happening with content in Yammer and how those two streams can be combined, how we can have insight into what's happening across those platforms, and eventually extending that beyond both of those.
Yeah, because a lot of people, one of the concerns with whether it's Yammer or any other social capabilities in an enterprise setting is losing control of it, not having visibility into what's happening, what artifacts are being shared, whether people are they're using sharing with unauthorized individuals intellectual property that should be secured.
Right, and the problem is you may have individual users who have legitimate access to content in SharePoint, but once it's removed from SharePoint and maybe put into a Yammer stream or even a box folder, we'll lose sight of who it's being shared with and what's happening with it. And that may violate particular corporate policies, whether they be vertical policies like in pharmaceuticals, or they could be company policies themselves. So we want to be able to provide a mechanism for recognizing when particular content that may be completely justified in one place isn't appropriate in another place for a particular set of users.
So just surfacing. I mean, that's kind of the fundamental part of the any governance strategy is just understanding what's happening, having visibility into the environment, and then being able to set up like those guidelines or policies or structure about how those artifacts are used.
And what I see happening, most likely will be that first visibility will be enough, and that someone needs to be alerted when a policy is violated. So Chief Compliance Officer or someone will say, hey, something went wrong, right? And then they may put structures in place to prevent that in the future. And what I'd love to see out of our next platform is automatic rectification, right? So programmatic rectification. Instead of just alerting someone, taking a positive action on that content or on that document, and the other thing as a byproduct of this, what will eventually happen is we'll see those sort of informal networks in an organization who collaborates well together, who doesn't, who's investing time in the collaboration platform, who isn't, which departments are seen as thought leaders in particular areas. And I think all of that can be discovered through fundamentally through social analytics. And I think that's going to be the next area after the visibility control.
Right. I think that is key. It's having basic analytics of how many people are viewing a document, viewing a site, how many people are participating in a threaded discussion around that, how many documents are shared and how those documents are rated.
And who's popular, who's a particular, who's the subject matter expert on a particular thing. The network will tell you that.
Right. Well, that's really the next step is being able to capture the rich experience around those social interactions, both in Yammer as well as in SharePoint. Being able to surface that and then do something with it.
And hopefully the sum is more than the parts, right? Because you'll have an overview and you'll see sort of this gestalt, if you will, across these.
I will. Right. Thank you very much, John.